What's up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with my Salamangreat deck profile. So, last month, I just fell in love with. Okay, I would admit, the reason why I'm building this deck, honestly, is because a friend of mine is coming back into the game, and this is one of the decks that he's looking at. And I actually wanted to help build this deck and see how far it can go. So this is honestly one of those situations of if your friend's running it, you run it type of situations. Yeah, that's pretty much what this is. And holy crap, this deck is amazing. It has a lot of utility, it has a lot of versatility, and I didn't know how many cards was actually in R type. They have a ritual monster, they have a ritual spell, they have link monsters, exceed monsters, and a fusion monster. Um, there are currently just two variations of it. There's the one version that runs the OTK with the Fusion Monster, Violent Chimera, and then there's the version that doesn't run Violent Chimera. It runs more so of a standard Link Exceed variation to itself. So I try to combine both versions of that into one. So this is pretty much what I'm working with. I'll explain a lot of my choices and stuff right after. So for my monster lineup, I'm running 3 copies of Salamangreat Gazelle. I'm running 2 copies of Falco, 2 copies of Wolvie, 2 copies of Jack Jaguar, 2 copies of Foxer, 2 copies of Foxy, and 2 copies of Spiny. For the rest of the monster lineup, I'm running 3 copies of Lady Debug, 2 copies of Backup Sentry, Backup Secretary, and 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. Ooh, excuse me. For my spells, I'm running 3 copies of Salamangreat Circle, 2 copies of Will of the Salamangreat, 2 Salamangreat Sanctuary, one Fusion of Fire, one Super Polymerization, one Monster Reborn, Foolish Burial, Dark Hole, and of course Regeki. Then for my traps, I'm only running 1 copy each of Salamangreat, 2 copies each of Salamangreat Rage and Salamangreat Roar. For my extra deck, I'm running 2 copies of Salamangreat Violet Chimera, 2 copies of Salamangreat Mirage Stelio, 2 copies of Heat Leo, 2 copies of Sunlight Wolf, 1 copy of Valix, 1 copy of Doolittle Chimera, 1 copy of Hita, the Blazing Fire Charmer, 1 copy of Unicorn, 1 copy of Phoenix, and 1 copy of Cerberus. And then I'm running 1 copy of Barrel Sword Dragon. And just in case I didn't forget, there is Heat Leo. I'm running 2 copies of that. Because I have some weird feeling I forgot about this card, but I didn't. And then I just have some extras of Falco, Jack Jaguar, Backup Sentry, Spiny, and then the other Salamangreat trap, which is Salamangreat Gift. Which is pretty much a draw card. If you discard a Salamangreat monster from your hand, send one Salamangreat monster from your deck to the graveyard, then draw 1 card. If you control a Salamangreat Link monster that was Link summoned using a monster with the same name as material, you can discard 1 Salamangreat card, draw 2 cards. And you can only use 1 Salamangreat effect per turn and only once that turn. So they pretty much just do both and then benefit from it. So I don't know why people aren't running it, because I can run it. Am I running it? No, I'm running Rage and Roar. But I'm considering it, because it seems like really good draw power. But, for the most part, this is one of the first full attributed Cyber versus decks that uses Cyber support to get its Link plays, get its Exceed plays, and get its Fusion summon. Um, it's a really good deck. I say so myself because of the fact that it has a lot of potential. I know it's topping in the OCG, but for the most part, I really didn't look at it till about now because Bam Ash Blossom reprint, and I think honestly this deck will see a lot of love in the TCG. Spire attribute, it has all these beast monsters, but they're not really beasts; they're cybers. They really interact with the graveyard and recovering from the graveyard, so it's gonna be one of their things. It's a suck if they run into a deck that plays, I don't know, Necro Valley, so be very careful of that. But the way a lot of these cards work, destruction effects wise, if you're not like me, Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclones, a lot of back row hate to help this deck. Ghost and Match, Rivalry Warlords are some good combinations as well. Because I don't know if people are going to really continue to run Lady Debug in Backup Century, but if you do decide to run those cards, um, by all means, Rival Warlords would be a great matchup. Just be careful of who you're playing because Ultra guys can get over it. I definitely know for a fact that Sky Strikers with a really good setup doesn't really care about Rival Warlords. Goes and Match hurts them. Um, I know Goes and Match will also hurt Ultra guys because they're multi-attributed. Uh, yeah, just like whichever random floodgate you want to run, just be careful that the other floodgate probably is a equal to better option. But I would try to find a way to side both. For the most part, the backup Sentry and Lady Debug are a great combination because the backup Sentry can search summon itself. We control a Cyberse monster. Lady Debug searches for a level 3 or lower Cyberse monster and can add to your hand. They do work well with a lot of the extra deck cards because then you can link into a lot of the other monsters and then go from there. In terms of the Cyberse, in terms of the Salamangreat monsters themselves, I did reduce a lot of numbers because I want to fit in a lot of the other material. Uh, Jack Jaguar is great, piercing damage, such summon ability from the graveyard by returning the card to the deck, which is not bad at all. Wolfie is going to see a lot of play because he can return Ash Blossom to hand through his secondary effect, and he's not a bad monster at all on his own. Especially when you use him for a link summon, because then that monster can be destroyed by battle or card effect. The turn you use this monster as its link material. Falco destroys spells and deals with spells and traps, which does come in handy. I'm considering if I want to bump Falco back up to 3 as well as Jaguar, but I'll give it time because I still need to test out a large portion of changes this deck is still going through. Gazelle is pretty much one of your big setups to sending cards to the graveyard. You can combine it with Falco because in Falco you can send Fusion of Fire, you can send Salamangreat Sanctuary, Will of Salamangreat, or even a quick play spell and get a lot of benefits from that. Salamangreat Spiny summons itself by pretty much if you control another Salamangreat monster when its cards in the graveyard, other than a Spiny. And then it banishes itself when it leaves the field. It's a sad, bitter ending to a cute and adorable monster. But, I mean, it still gets a lot of usage out of itself because you can then go into another Link monster, get a lot of your Link plays set up thanks to this card. Ash Blossom is Ash Blossom. For the spells, Sanctuary may not look like one of the most high-rated field spells, but for what it can do, it's a great recovery card. It's a great take advantage of a monster's type of situation. It's just a really good setup for a lot of the monsters because a lot of these link monsters, say if you use a monster who's named as me to link summon me, I get additional effect. A lot of these cards get additional effects because of the whole, if you use a monster who was link summoned using a monster with its same name, bam, here's additional effect 2, here's additional effect 3. And thanks to Sanctuary, they get that use out of it. And the fact that the monster becomes the entire material makes it even more profitable, makes it even more useful and more profitable. Salamangreats have their own search card and own protection card, and one thanks to Salamangreat Circle. I think you only apply one effect per turn. No, you only use one per turn, which isn't bad either. So you get a lot of usage out of that. Next up is Will of Salamangreat. So this is pretty much either a Hysteric Party or Soul Charge for the Salamangreat monsters. And like I said, link plays become very, very useful to a lot of people. And I can't wait to exactly see how far um, we will get with this deck because I like a lot of the mechanics, a lot of the material and setup. So I can't wait to see what else we'll have in the long run with it. Fusion of Fire. This is pretty much their super polymerization, which I didn't know it was. Because I was also running Super Poly as the backup card. So Fusion of Fire pretty much just says Fusion summon one Salamangreat Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or either field as fusion material, which helps as well because you can get rid of threats. You can deal with a lot of the issue cards as well. in terms of your opponent's monsters. But I do like Super Poly because it can't be negated. That's the only difference between Fusion of Fire and Super Poly. Is Super Poly can't be interacted with. Its activation, Fusion of Fire stuff can still negate it. You can only activate one Fusion of Fire per turn, while you look at Super Poly and it's only, well, it's at one for a reason. The other cards are just very much here to either defend or set up. Monster Reborn, Foolish Burial, Dark Hole, Raigeki. For the trap cards, we have our counter trap in the form of Salamangreat Roar with additional effects set to it to put itself back onto the board. And then you have Salamangreat Rage, which acts as an Icarus attack. With either you're sending a Salamangreat monster from your hand or face up on your field of the graveyard to target a card in the field and destroy it, or you target a Link monster you control with Link that was Link summoned using monsters with the same name, and you destroy cards up to the number of cards your opponent control based on that monster's Link rating. So yeah, Icarus attack anyone? That's pretty much what this card is, and you get a better choice out of it if the Link summon is two or more, which you can do. I'm looking at you, Heart Leo and Sunlight Wolf. So you do get a lot of advantages out of that. As far as the extra deck goes, there is the OTK, the FTK with, no, not FTK, the OTK with Violet Chimera and, its fusion summon and all of that. It has a great standing stats, and in its effect is part of the reason why this card is something to be very, very scared of. So it's a really good card, I'm not gonna lie, and I can't wait to get my hands on it and test it out. Another card that I like and I'm looking at right now is Mirage Del Leo. Two level 3 monsters, attachment material from this card, send a summon a Salamangreat from your deck in defense, and you can only activate the effects for the rest of the turn of fire monsters. When this card is used as link material for a link summon of a Salamangreat monster, you can target a monster on your field, return it to hand. So it gives a compulsory when it's used for link material of a Salamangreat link monster, which isn't bad either. But it is a standalone 2000 attack, which is really great. 900 defense. Well, I'm just gonna use it for the attack anyway. And I do like the fact that it is a burning horse, and everyone knows horses are amazing. Next up is Heat Leo, another big standalone monster. 2+ fire monsters. When this card's link summoned, you can target a card your opponent controls and spell a trap zone, send it back to the deck, which is great because you get rid of those issues. And then once a turn during your main phase, when this card's link summoned using Heat Leo as its material, you have a face-up monster and a monster in your graveyard. The attack of the first target becomes equal to the attack of the other target, so it helps out there. It's not a buff, it's just a swap of attack. So I would probably choose it wisely to use it on a monster with very high attack instead of very low. And, in combination with Sanctuary, that also can benefit as well, because then you can gain those life points. Unicorn, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump on myself. Um, Sun Wolf, not too bad of a monster. Where are we at now? 13? Okay. Sun Wolf is not too bad of a monster. You're mostly just using it because of its whole add fire cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then, giving the normal summon and setup of monsters as well. Excluding the normal summon of monsters using the effect to summon. Pretty much, you're going to use this for Ash Blossom, if anything. I can't see you using it to recover a lot of the other monsters, but honestly, Ash Blossom is just the better target. And then, the whole Salamangreat card in the graveyard, you can add it to your hand, so you get recovery on that as well. Val Lixin is someone else I'm looking at. A simple, easy summon works really well because you have someone like Lady Diva, you have someone like Backup Sentry that you can benefit from using in terms of summoning this. I kind of want to bump it up to 2 just because I can kick out something else. Because I'm not really feeling the Nightmare Engine, so maybe it's that I'll probably take the axe. But the Nightmare Engine tends to be very useful to a lot of decks that don't have too much of a removal of its own. So that's part of the reason why it's here. It's still a great monster. It's just very situational setup. Dual Chimera is here for recovery. A card that I'm actually looking into is Hita the Blazing Flame Charmer. So she needs 2 fire monsters. One of them none of them has to be a fire monster. She's treated as a fully possessed card. And then during the main phase, you can target a fire monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it. to the zone that this card points to. So it helps with mirror match. You can also steal their Ash Blossoms. If this card is link summoned, if this link summon card is destroyed by a card effect, you can add a fire monster with 15 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So this is pretty much like a Witch of the Black Forest, but for fire monsters, literally. Um, if it's link summon, destroy battle or your opponent's card effect, and then you can add that fire monster with 15 or less defense from your deck to your hand. If this does not scream a massive version of Witch of the Black Forest's original effect, I don't know what does. It'll work out very perfectly in terms of searching and stuff like that. Because we have a ton of targets in the main deck. Oh, excuse me for this, but I love what they're doing with the Charmers. I wouldn't be surprised if we see, Wendy. We see Arika, we see Usa, or yeah, Usa. We see um, Lena. We see Dark get their variations of Link monsters and how they incorporate into their archetypes. I mean, into their attribute decks as well. The only other thing, of course, is the Nightmare Cerberus, the Nightmare Phoenix, and the Nightmare Unicorn. Return, destroy spell, destroy trap, and then you have Barrel Sword Dragon, one of my favorites of the Link monsters. Because I mean, as sensitive as this card is, I know it's very sensitive, but it's for a reason. This card is amazing. This card has so much synergy in defense. I mean, it's a very offensive, defensive Link monster. And it's just so good. I just wish I had one. If it wasn't so expensive, I had one. Honestly, I would. But I see why it's so expensive because of how useful it is. It's such an easy card to go into with the decks that it can, and it's just so good. It's a really good card, honestly. So, for the most part, like I said, I like this deck. I like what it does. I like how a lot of interactive it is. There are variations of this deck, but I just prefer a more Link Summon oriented type of style because of how versed this game has come with Links. However, I do like the fact that I can take advantage of a fusion monster and an exceed monster to benefit its counterparts of its archetype. And I do like a lot of this energy that this deck has with the graveyard, with the field. Watch out for Necro Valley if you're playing this deck because Necro Valley can wreck you. If you can't wreck Necro Valley, wreck it. It will wreck you. And that's the best advice I can give. I do like a lot of this energy. I can't wait for the structure deck. Talk about the structure deck cards. Then, if anyone has any suggestions or ideas about this deck, please let me know because I'm still in the process of building it. I'm actually trying to help a friend build it as well, but he's probably doing a lot more research on it himself. But I do hope this video helps him if he's watching. And anyone else that's interested in Salamangreat, I hope this deck helps you. I hope this build helps you as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, you guys, as it helps the channel out tremendously. And I will see you guys next time. HPJ signing out. Take care.